name's Teresa, and today I'd like to speak to you about Dreissenid mussels. Now, when I first say the word mussel, the first thing that comes to most people's minds is this. But this isn't what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to be talking about this type of mussel, and this is a Dreissenid mussel. Now, Dreissenid mussels are an invasive species that originated in the Ukraine and Eurasia, and they migrated to Canada over the last 30 years or so. And the reason that this happened was due to boats. Dreissenid mussels, what they do is they attach to the hulls of boats, and then when the boats make their journey across a body of water, like the Atlantic Ocean, they're transported with it. So as a result, they've entered many waterways in which they are not native to, and have invoked major changes in these ecosystems. One example is the analogy of a lake. If a Dreissenid mussel is added to the lake, it affects the algae in the body of water. And that is because Dreissenid mussels are bivalves, which means that they're filtering through the water and removing what they can use as food, which in this case is algae. Now they're also releasing a waste stream, and this waste stream contains various nutrients and therefore feeds the algae. So that means Dreissenid mussels are kind of like farmers, I guess, as they're taking in their food, but they're also feeding their food with their waste stream. However, since they're eating the algae and removing it from the water, it means that the water is going to be less cloudy. And with the algae gone, it means that fish that have relied on the cloudier water for lower temperatures can no longer reside in this body of water. Thus, the fish leave as well. This changes the whole food chain and the whole ecosystem just because of the presence of Dreissenid mussels. Now we know who the culprit is. That's Dreissenid mussels. But did you know that there's two different types of Dreissenid mussels that invoke major changes in Canada? The first one is the zebra mussel. Wrong picture. Oops. The zebra mussel. And the second is the quagga mussel. Now, the zebra and quagga mussels are very similar in the effects they cause on ecosystems. However, in appearance and structure, they're different. For example, this is the Dreissenid mussel, or the Dreissenida, that's hard to say, Dreissenida polymorpha. And it has bilateral symmetry, which means that the top half and the bottom half look relatively similar, as it's divided by a straight line. However, the quagga mussel isn't as bilaterally symmetrical, which means that it has this kind of, well, lack of scientific word, squiggle down the middle. There's also differences in the color of the shell as well as the shape. However, when the Dreissenid mussel is covered in its pseudofecal material and biofilm, it's very difficult to use these factors to distinguish which species they are. So it's commonly focused upon the bilateral symmetry in order to determine what species you're looking at. Now, here's some food for thought. Dreissenid mussels are a lot like humans. Now, you're probably thinking, how on earth did I come to this conclusion, as it seems kind of bizarre. But think about it. Dreissenid mussels are an invasive species that have traveled from their local region all over the world and have invoked major changes in their ecosystem. And that's similar to humans. For example, humans have traveled all around the world and changed infrastructure by creating cities and towns. And this in turn has disrupted ecosystems that have been the same for thousands of years prior to humans' entrance. For example, the raccoon. Raccoons in wildlife regions such as national parks do not see as many humans, so therefore they're relying mostly on berries and nuts, versus in more populated regions like cities, they rely mostly on the waste products of humans. For example, this cute little raccoon going through the trash. And that's very similar to algae and Dreissenid mussels. As prior to the Dreissenid mussels entering a body of water, for example, the Bay of Quinte, there was more algae in the area. However, once the Dreissenid mussels enter, they're filtering the algae out of the water and using it as a food source. And in turn, they're creating waste streams that are feeding other organisms, such as other algae and bacteria. So this is kind of interesting to think about because it's showing the effect of Dreissenid mussels on the ecosystem, and it's kind of similar to us. So I know the subject of water is pretty dry. However, I thought I'd add a little pop quiz in here to see if you were actually paying attention to me, and because it's fun. So, is this a zebra or a quagga mussel from what we talked about before? I'll give you a couple minutes to make your decision. Okay, time's up. What is it, zebra or quagga? Well, the answer is zebra, and that's because the structure of the shell is bilaterally symmetrical. Well, I hope you enjoyed my video, and thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you'll consider watching some of my other videos, as they're pretty fun too. Thank you, and have a great day.